Welcome to this deep dive into social intelligence.
Yeah.
We got some fascinating research from Daniel Goleman that we're going to be unpacking,
Okay.
exploring how our brains are wired for connection
Mm.
and how even like small interactions can have just this huge ripple effect.
Absolutely.
Uh,
Yeah. And we're going to be looking at both the conscious strategies that we use in social situations as well as the unconscious processes happening in our brains.
Oh, yeah.
How our brains react to everything from a simple smile to a complex social dilemma, and how those reactions shape our decisions and relationships.
You know that feeling when you walk into a room and
Yeah.
can just kind of sense the mood?
Yes.
Like you can feel the tension or the excitement in the air?
Yeah.
It turns out there's a scientific explanation for that.
There is. It's called emotional contagion, and it describes how we unconsciously pick up on and mirror the emotional states of others.
Okay.
Our brains are constantly scanning for cues like facial expressions, tone of voice, and even body language.
So it's not just about feeling good vibes or bad vibes, but our moods can actually spread to those around us.
Exactly. And this has real implications for our well-being. For instance, research has shown that having a close friend at work is one of the strongest predictors of job satisfaction.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
If you got someone supportive in your corner, work probably feels less stressful.
It's more than just having one friend, though.
Okay.
A positive and supportive work environment in general can create a ripple effect of positive emotions, leading to increased productivity and reduced stress.
It sounds like leaders have a big responsibility here, setting the tone for the whole workplace.
Absolutely. A leader who understands and responds to their team's emotions effectively can cultivate a more positive and supportive environment.
Okay.
That's where social intelligence becomes really important.
So how does this emotional contagion actually happen?
Well,
What's going on in our brains?
there are two main pathways for processing emotions.
Okay.
The first is what we call the low road, which is a fast and automatic response involving the amygdala,
Okay.
our brain's alarm system.
So the low road is that instant gut reaction.
Precisely.
No thinking involved.
It's all about detecting potential threats and triggering quick emotional responses.
Okay.
Then there's the high road, a slower and more deliberate pathway that involves the prefrontal cortex.
Okay, so the high road is where we pause,
Yeah,
reflect, and choose how we want to respond.
exactly. And both pathways play a role in emotional contagion.
Uh-huh.
The low road allows for rapid unconscious transmission of emotions, while the high road gives us the ability to regulate those emotions.
This reminds me of the concept of mirror neurons.
Yeah.
They're specialized neurons in our brains that fire both when we do something and when we observe someone else doing the same thing.
It's true. Mirror neurons are often called the neural basis of empathy because they allow us to literally feel what others are feeling,
Right.
creating a simulation in our own brains.
That's wild.
Yeah.
It's like our brains are trying to walk a mile in someone else's shoes.
It is pretty incredible, and this ability to mirror emotions is essential for building social connections and navigating complex situations.
Right.
It helps us understand others' intentions and respond appropriately.
Have scientists observed this mirroring ability in people who have difficulty perceiving the world around them?
Indeed, studies using fMRI, which is a way to see brain activity in real time,
Yeah, okay.
have shown that people with certain brain lesions who are functionally blind can still perceive emotions through this low-road pathway.
Wow, so even when conscious perception is impaired, our brains are still wired for connection.
It really highlights how deeply rooted social connection is for humans.
Right.
And this brings us to another fascinating aspect of social intelligence,
Okay.
our ability to judge trustworthiness almost instantly.
You mean like when you meet someone for the first time and get that gut feeling about whether you can trust them?
Precisely, research has shown that we make these judgments in milliseconds.
Wow.
The amygdala, our brain's alarm system,
Right.
and the insula, which processes emotions and risks, play key roles in assessing trustworthiness and triggering that gut response.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
We're making these judgments before we've even had time to think about them.
That's right. Our brains have evolved to quickly identify potential threats and rewards, and trustworthiness is a critical factor in deciding who we approach and avoid.
But how reliable are those snap judgments? Should we always trust our gut?
That's a complex question.
Okay.
While our brains are good at picking up subtle cues, these judgments can be clouded by unconscious biases.
So it's important to be aware of those
Yeah.
biases and not solely rely on our gut feelings.
Right.
We should consider other information too.
Absolutely. Critical thinking and conscious reflection are key for making informed judgments about others.
Okay, we've talked about how our brains are wired for connection and picking up on emotions.
Yes.
But what about the opposite? What happens when we try to deceive others?
Oh, good question.
I always wondered what happens in our brains when we lie. Is it really that hard to do?
Lying actually requires a lot of cognitive effort.
Okay.
We have to suppress the truth, invent a new story, and control our expressions to appear convincing.
It sounds mentally exhausting.
It is, and that increased cognitive effort can be seen in brain activity.
Okay.
Studies using fMRI have shown that areas like the prefrontal cortex,
Huh.
responsible for planning and complex behavior,
Right.
are much more active when people lie.
So there's a neurological basis for this saying it's harder to lie than to tell the truth.
Exactly, and this research has led some to explore using fMRI as a lie detector, though it's still early and there are limitations to its accuracy.
It seems like there's no foolproof way to detect a lie, at least not yet.
That's right, but understanding the effort involved in lying can help us be more discerning when evaluating others.
Okay.
It also underscores the importance of honesty and trust in our relationships.
Speaking of relationships, what about social rejection?
Yeah.
We all know it hurts,
Hmm.
but is there a neurological explanation for why it feels so painful?
Absolutely. Studies have shown that social rejection activates the same brain areas that process physical pain.
So the saying, sticks and stones may break my bones, but words will never hurt me, is actually false.
Neurologically speaking, yes.
Oh,
The
wow.
pain of social rejection is real and can have lasting negative effects on our well-being.
That makes sense, though. Our survival depended on being part of a group throughout human history. Rejection from the group meant isolation and vulnerability.
You're right. That's why our brains perceive rejection as a threat, triggering stress hormones and negative emotions like sadness, loneliness, and even anger.
And these feelings can impact our thinking behavior and even physical health.
Yes, chronic social rejection has been linked to increased risks of depression, anxiety, and even physical ailments like cardiovascular disease and weakened immune function.
That's a powerful reminder that social connection isn't just about feeling good. It's essential for our overall well-being.
Absolutely. Cultivating supportive relationships, building a sense of belonging, and seeking help when needed is crucial.
This brings us to another interesting aspect of social intelligence, the tendency to categorize people as us versus them.
Yeah, it's a natural human instinct. Our brains look for patterns and try to make sense of the world.
Okay.
One way we do this is by grouping people based on shared characteristics.
But this categorization can also lead to prejudice and conflict.
Uh,
We might attribute negative traits to those in the outgroup even without any personal experience to support those beliefs.
Precisely. And that's where social intelligence is key.
Okay.
It's about recognizing our own biases, challenging assumptions, and trying to understand others' perspectives.
That's easier said than done, though. Our brains seem hardwired for these us versus them distinctions.
True, but it is possible to overcome these biases.
Okay.
Thomas Pettigrew, a social psychologist who's dedicated his career to studying prejudice, found that emotional connections like friendships can be incredibly powerful.
So bridging the divide between us and them starts with building personal relationships.
That's a crucial step. When we get to know someone from a different group, we see them as individuals, not stereotypes.
Right.
We start to empathize with their experiences and challenge our preconceptions.
This reminds me of a study I read about called the Jigsaw Classroom.
Uh-huh.
I think it was also part of Dr. Pettigrew's work.
Yeah.
It's a really interesting example of how shared goals can help overcome prejudice among students.
It is a fascinating study.
So what is it?
In a jigsaw classroom, students are put into diverse groups, and each student is responsible for learning one part of a lesson.
Okay.
They then have to teach their part to the rest of the group.
So to succeed, they have to work together and rely on each other.
Right.
I could see how that would foster a sense of teamwork.
Exactly. And the results were impressive.
What happened?
Students in jigsaw classrooms showed significant reductions in prejudice and increased empathy for their classmates from different backgrounds.
Wow.
They even had better academic achievement overall.
That's amazing. It really shows how powerful cooperation and shared goals can be in breaking down barriers.
It certainly does, and it highlights the need for learning environments that encourage those connections and understanding.
Right.
But what about when harm has already been done?
Okay.
Can social intelligence play a role in addressing crime and helping those who have committed offenses?
That's a good question. It seems like understanding the social brain could be valuable in those situations.
Absolutely. One approach that shows promise is restorative justice.
Okay, so what's that?
It focuses on repairing the harm caused by a crime, and rebuilding relationships rather than just punishment.
So instead of just focusing on consequences, restorative justice tries to address the root causes of crime and help people make amends for their actions.
Precisely. It involves bringing together victims, offenders, and community members to discuss the impact of the crime, hold the offender accountable, and create a plan for making things right.
It sounds like a much more holistic and humane approach to justice.
It is, and it has been shown to reduce recidivism rates, meaning fewer people reoffend.
That's good.
It also increases victim satisfaction and helps communities heal and reconcile.
That makes sense. It seems more likely to create lasting change than just punishment alone.
Yeah,
Are there any real-world examples of this approach working?
there are many. One powerful story is that of Marco Washington,
Okay.
who after years of struggling with addiction and hurting his family, participated in a restorative justice program while in prison.
What happened? Did the program help him?
It was transformative for him. He was able to confront the harm he caused, to take responsibility, and apologize to his mother, whom he had hurt deeply.
That's incredible. It really speaks to the power of forgiveness and second chances.
It really does, and it underscores the importance of creating opportunities for people to learn, grow, and make amends.
But restorative justice isn't just about individual stories.
Right.
There are communities implementing this approach on a larger scale with promising results.
Yeah, one inspiring example is the city of Kalamazoo, Michigan. They've developed a remarkable evidence-based plan to reduce crime by focusing on prevention, rehabilitation, and reintegration.
So it's a multifaceted approach, not just about law enforcement.
That's right. The Kalamazoo model incorporates things like early childhood education, job training, mental health services, and substance abuse treatment.
Wow, it really sounds like a comprehensive effort to address the root causes of crime and support individuals on multiple levels.
And it's been successful.
That's great.
They've seen significant reductions in crime rates and improvements in community well-being. What's particularly impressive is that it's data-driven. They
Right.
track their progress, evaluate their programs, and make adjustments to ensure their efforts have the greatest impact.
That's a really smart approach.
Yeah.
It seems like a model worth emulating for other communities.
Yeah, but before we get ahead of ourselves, let's bring it back to the individual level.
Okay.
What are some of the key takeaways for our listeners?
Yeah, what have we learned so far?
One of the most crucial takeaways is that we are inherently wired for connection. Our brains are constantly seeking social cues, mirroring emotions, and making judgments.
It's like we have this hidden operating system running in the background,
Right.
influencing our thoughts, feelings, and behavior without us even realizing it.
Exactly. And becoming aware of that operating system is the first step to taking more control.
Okay.
We can learn to manage our emotional responses, build stronger relationships, and make better decisions about who we trust and how we interact.
So social intelligence isn't just about being nice or charming. It's about understanding these complex brain processes and using that knowledge to our advantage.
Precisely, it's about leveraging our understanding of the social brain to create a more positive and fulfilling experience, both for ourselves and for others.
And that reminds me, we touched upon earlier the difference between the low road and the high road of processing emotions.
Yes.
Right. The low road is that quick gut reaction driven by the amygdala,
Yeah.
while the high road allows for more thought and reflection involving the prefrontal cortex.
Exactly, and it's important to understand when each pathway is dominant. When we feel threatened, stressed, or overwhelmed, our low road tends to take over.
So in those moments, we're more likely to react impulsively without thinking things through.
Exactly, and that can lead to poor decisions and strained relationships.
Right.
But the good news is
There's good news.
we can train ourselves to engage the high road more often.
So what are some strategies for doing that? How do we hit the pause button on our gut reactions and make more thoughtful choices?
Mindfulness practices, emotional regulation techniques, and cognitive reframing can be incredibly helpful.
Yeah.
By consciously engaging the high road, we can regain control and avoid being hijacked by our emotions.
But that doesn't mean suppressing our emotions altogether, right?
No.
It's about finding a balance between acknowledging our feelings and choosing how we respond to them.
You're absolutely right. Emotional intelligence isn't about being emotionless.
Okay.
It's about being aware of our emotions, understanding their impact, and using them to guide our actions in a positive and productive way.
So it's about finding that sweet spot between awareness and regulation.
Precisely. And once we've developed a better understanding of our own emotions, we can start focusing on understanding the emotions of others.
How do we get better at tuning into those subtle cues that people are sending? It seems like a lot of communication happens beneath the surface.
It all starts with paying attention. I know we live in a world of distractions,
Right.
but we have to make a conscious effort to really focus on the people we're interacting with.
So put down the phones, make eye contact,
Yeah.
and really listen to what people are saying,
Yes.
both with their words and their body language.
Exactly. Observe those nonverbal cues, facial expressions, tone of voice, posture.
Okay.
They often reveal more than words alone.
But it's also important to remember that nonverbal communication can be culturally specific.
Yes.
What's considered polite in one culture could be rude in another.
That's a great point. So it's not just about reading body language.
Right.
It's about being aware of the context and the cultural background of the person we're interacting with.
It seems like trust is a key part of this whole equation, too.
It's absolutely fundamental to any strong relationship.
So how do we build trust?
And building trust requires several key ingredients.
Like what are some things we can do to foster trust in our relationships?
Honesty, integrity, and consistency are essential.
Okay.
When our words and actions align, we demonstrate reliability and trustworthiness.
So we have to walk the walk.
Yes, it's also about being vulnerable and allowing others to see our authentic selves.
It makes sense. When we're open and honest about our thoughts and feelings, it creates a space for genuine connection, right?
Exactly. Vulnerability can be scary, but it's incredibly powerful.
Yeah.
It shows that we trust the other person enough to let them see our imperfections. And when we feel trusted, we're more likely to reciprocate that trust.
Uh-huh.
It creates a beautiful cycle of openness, honesty, and mutual respect.
So trust is a two-way street.
Yes.
It requires both giving and receiving.
Yes, but all this talk about social intelligence can feel a bit overwhelming.
It can be a lot.
Yeah. How do we actually apply this knowledge to our daily lives?
Yeah, it's one thing to talk about it, but putting it into practice is another.
You're right. It's about taking action, and you don't have to do it all at once.
Okay.
Start small. Choose one or two areas where you want to focus your efforts. Maybe it's improving your communication skills, becoming a better listener, or managing your emotions more effectively.
So it's about setting realistic goals and making small incremental changes over time.
Exactly. Social intelligence is a marathon, not a sprint.
I like that.
Focus on sustainable changes that you can build on over time
Okay.
and practice regularly.
Right.
The more we use these skills, the more natural and effortless they will become.
It's like anything else we learn, practice makes progress.
Exactly. Make a conscious effort to apply these principles in your daily interactions.
Yes.
And be mindful of the company you keep. Surround yourself with people who support your growth, challenge you to be your best self, and model positive social behavior.
The people we spend time with have a huge influence on us.
They do. Choose your social environment wisely.
Okay.
And don't be afraid to seek out new experiences that challenge your perspectives and expand your horizons.
Stepping outside of our comfort zone can be scary,
Yeah.
but it's essential for growth.
It is. The more we expose ourselves to diverse perspectives, the more socially intelligent we become.
So social intelligence isn't just about mastering a set of skills. It's about cultivating a mindset of curiosity, empathy, and a genuine desire to connect with others on a deeper level.
Exactly. It's about recognizing the interconnectedness of our social world and the profound impact we each have on the lives of those around us.
It's about using our knowledge of the social brain to create a more positive and fulfilling experience for everyone.
And that's a goal worth striving for. So as we wrap up this deep dive into social intelligence, what's one final thought you'd like to leave our listener with?
Yes, what's one key takeaway you hope they'll remember?
Social intelligence is a superpower, and like any superpower, it comes with responsibility.
Okay.
We have a choice in how we use our social intelligence.
We can use it to manipulate or exploit others, or we can use it to build trust, to foster understanding, and create a more just and compassionate world.
You're absolutely right. Social intelligence without ethical awareness can be incredibly dangerous.
It's like a weapon without a conscience.
Yeah, it makes me think about the conversations surrounding artificial intelligence and its ability to read and respond to human emotions. It feels like a similar dilemma.
It does.
As we develop increasingly sophisticated AI, we have to consider the ethical implications.
Right.
How do we ensure that these technologies are used for good?
Yeah.
How do we prevent them from being used to manipulate or exploit people?
Those are huge questions, it seems like. We can't just blindly trust algorithms to handle our social interactions.
Right.
Human judgment and empathy are still crucial.
Absolutely. We need to be thoughtful and discerning in how we use these technologies, ensuring they serve humanity and not the other way around.
So as we navigate this ever-evolving social landscape, what are some guiding principles we can use to ensure we're using our social intelligence ethically?
The golden rule is a great place to start.
Oh, okay.
Treat others as you would want to be treated.
Okay.
It's a simple but powerful principle that encourages empathy, respect, and understanding.
It reminds us to see the inherent worth in every person, regardless of their background or beliefs.
Exactly. Another important principle is to act with integrity.
Integrity, doing what's right, even when it's hard.
That's it. It means aligning our actions with our values, being honest and accountable for our choices.
And fostering a sense of community is crucial too, right?
Absolutely. We're social creatures by nature.
Yeah.
We thrive when we feel connected to something larger than ourselves. Community gives us a sense of belonging, purpose, and support,
Right.
allowing us to contribute our unique talents and learn from each other.
It seems like social intelligence isn't just about individual growth, but also about using our understanding of the social brain to create a better world for everyone.
You hit the nail on the head. It's about recognizing our interconnectedness, understanding that our actions have ripple effects, and choosing to use our social intelligence for good.
So it's about being mindful, being ethical, and being a force for positive change in the world.
Precisely, the world needs more social intelligence, especially now.
Yeah.
We live in a time marked by division and conflict, but we also have the tools to bridge those divides and build a more compassionate and connected world.
It's inspiring to think about the potential we each have to make a difference.
It is. Social intelligence is a superpower. Use it wisely.
That's a great note to end on as we wrap up this deep dive into social intelligence. We hope you've gained some valuable insights and are feeling empowered to put your social intelligence into action. Until next time, keep diving deep, keep learning, and keep connecting.